Welcome to 75 Stories, a podcast created to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Normandale Lutheran Church in Edina, Minnesota.
I'm Loren Wolthoff. I am the audio-video production engineer at Normandale. Started out doing that on a volunteer basis. I couldn't even tell you when, maybe 2015-ish. Obviously, as the years have progressed, the way we do our audio and video has evolved over time, and my job sort of has too. It went from being a volunteer position to actually being a full-time job to produce all the audio-video content that we need here at Normandale. I remember hearing the news from the governor that everything was shut down, including church services. And I was just utterly shocked at that. I mean, it made sense to me in terms of trying to prevent the spread of COVID, but just thinking about the fact that our community is not going to be able to gather just shocked me, and I wasn't really sure how to respond and wasn't sure how we would respond as a community. Of course, when we got the news, we had just a few days until the first Sunday when we were shut down. I think the news came out on Thursday, and we had a Sunday worship to somehow do. After we all finished utterly panicking, Ian McConnell and I had some long conversations over the phone, of course. We weren't getting together too much in person, and thought that we had a pretty good idea of how we could get our worship service out there online. That very first Sunday when we did our first online service, we were all gathered in the church. Lorna was playing piano, we had the James family there singing, pastors were all there, Ian and I were there running the technology. All of us, I just remember the countdown. We did a 3, 2, 1, and we're live. And everybody just, their eyes went wide, and here we go. We pushed the button and really hoped that it was going to stream. We had no idea if it was even really going to work. And there were some serious technical hiccups those first couple of services. So as COVID went on and on and on, we evolved the way that we did our online services. We stopped the full get-together for a live broadcast straight from the sanctuary, and we went to doing recorded and pre-produced services, which took a huge amount of pressure off having to get things done live and try and make them perfect. The biggest thing that we did was we involved members of the congregation. We had people send in videos of themselves doing readings, doing psalms, and I think that all of that helped to try and keep us together as a community. You saw some of the people that you knew out there participating in services all the time. I went back into the archives and found recordings of the choir. We often did recordings after choir tours, so I had that as a resource. And even some of the old recordings of services, I was able to pull choir anthems out of there. So really, to try and keep our community together, you would hear the choir, you would see people singing, and I think all of that really helped to keep the engagement and keep our services alive. There were a handful of really funny events that took place while we were producing these services. The first one that comes to mind was during the very first service when we were in the sanctuary. I was doing a video, I believe Rebecca was doing the sermon, and I was kind of glancing at Paul because he was actually kind of photobombing Rebecca as she was doing her sermon, and eventually kind of got his attention, and I think I got him to kind of scooch down a little further in the pew to get out of the picture so that Rebecca kind of had some wide open space to do her sermon. One of the changes that really happened to me personally coming out of COVID is how I view my role doing the audio-video production. Early on, when I was a volunteer, I had some nerd skills, so I would help make the worship a little bit better. But really, I have come to look at what we do with audio-video production as really being a ministry, as much a ministry as our music is, or the preaching is, or anything else, because I'm reaching out to not only our congregation, but also people who have never been to Normandale. In fact, we've had people express interest in joining the church who had never set foot in the church building coming out of COVID. And even today, if somebody's shopping around for a new church, first thing they're going to do is look at an online service. The good news and bad news is that we've raised the bar in how we do our online production. And I think now that the genie's out of the bottle, we're never going to be able to go back. As much as I would love to see more of our congregation coming here every week and being able to see some of those people in person, I think online worship is a reality that we just have to deal with and just need to figure out ways to keep it engaging and take this ministry and move it forward to as many people as we can reach.
We are so glad you joined us today here at 75 Stories. If you'd like to share your own story, please contact Christy Shepard at kshepard@normluth.org. Join us next week for another story, and share this podcast with your friends and family. We are all part of the Normandale community.